Yes, fish fans. You know what? A couple of days ago when Gaz said we were going to Disney, I thought I was going to see the big mouse. But instead, we've ended up at the awesome Embryo Angling's Norton Disney complex in Lincolnshire. We fished on Turner's Lake and we've had a nice little session. We've caught a few fish, but not only that, in this episode, we talk a little bit more about what we've learned in the previous episodes of Cold Water Carping. So before we get into the actual episode, don't forget to hit the subscribe button because there's plenty more things like Cold Water Carping coming from us guys at Team Trakker. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. Woohoo! Yes, fish fans, look at that! Right, hold back the tears. Welcome to the last episode of Cold Water Carping for this winter. We're currently up at Norton Disney on Turner's Lake, getting amongst a few of these beautiful carp that reside in here. So I'm going to slip this one back and we're going to crack on with the session. Celebrational coffee after the first fish of the session. Woohoo! Come on, fish fans. Anyway, let's have a little look what I'm doing. Now, we've had a little bit of a change in weather this morning. It wasn't predicted to be like this. I've got pure sunshine, blue skies, so it's sort of saying zigs to me. Now, at Norton Disney, you're only allowed to fish one zig per 3 rods. So I'm just going to swap one zig over. I'm going to start at half depth, which is 7 foot, and I'm just going to put that out near the baited area just in case there's some fish knocking about. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take another rod and I'm just going to put it back onto a solid and I'm going to put that down the margin because there's been some sunshine pumping on that margin all morning. So first things first, I'm going to get my brand new Cygnet zig rigger in black. I'm going to tank that out into the lake and then I'm going to sit down and show you how I tie my PVA bag. On the way, Gaz. Look at that, fish fans. Yay! Our second fish of the session. So I was just about to sit down, talk you through what tactics I'm using, my PVA bags, what I've got in there, bait-wise, etc. And one of them's tanked off. Second little fish of the session, another little double. And Turner's Lake at Norton Disney's being very kind to us. So I'm going to slip this one back and we'll carry on with where we were meant to be. Good. Oh, I don't like the liner. Yeah, that's on. That's on. Ready? Your mother. So we've been rudely disturbed by a couple of fish, but you're never going to moan at that, are you, fish fans? Anyway, let's have a quick look at my solid bag and what I've been catching on. So I've got a standard solid bag rig setup, I suppose. There's a 4-inch braided hook link. Now this is a new cygnet braided hook link that we're working with. It hasn't been released yet, but it will be soon. We've also got a wide gape size 6 barbless, and then I've just got a little bit of silicone tubing, and then on the end I've got a PB DNA wafter. Now to that I'm connected to a 2-foot section of the lead core with one of the inline leads in 2.5 ounce. Now what's nice about these inline leads is you can push out the centre tube, and you can change the side of the lead just by slipping it out of the groove. Get a bigger lead if you want, smaller lead if you want, depending on how far you're fishing. Simply slot it into the groove, the lead core, take hold of the insert, push it back into the lead, pull it up, and you've changed your lead, which is really, really useful. You know, we're not fishing at mega range today. I'm only at 11 wraps, so 2.5 ounce lead is plenty for the distance, but also I don't need a really heavy lead to sink into the silt if I can get away with it. Now, I've got one of our medium bags, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it down a little bit because I don't need the bag to be huge. It's not that time of year, don't need loads of bait out there, so I take off probably about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Give the bag a blow to open it up. Now I tend to have a few of these tied up. You can see I've got ready ones tied in my bucket, so if I have a fish, it's a very quick loop to loop method to thread on a new bag, wrap it up, and I'm straight back on the same spot and fishing as quick as possible. Now once I've got my bag, I take a small amount of pellet. There's a good mixture of size pellets in there, small ones, big ones, different flavours and stuff. Tiny little bit in the bottom. Take hold of my rig and I lower my rig in. Now once I've lowered it into the corner, I can hold my lead in between my fingers and just make sure that the wafter and the hook are laying perfectly and exactly how I want it to be presented. Top the bag up with some pellet. There we go, about 2/3 full. Drop the lead in, and I'm just going to work the lead into the centre of the bag and towards the front. Once done that, I'm going to top the bag up with a little bit more pellet so I can just see the top of the stem that's inside the lead. Take a pinch of the top and give it a little twist, pushing down all the time. There we go, little twist. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap the bag, give it a little tap. Take a baiting needle, just make a couple of holes in it. What that'll do is release the air. Now once I've done that, give it a good tap. That gets it nice and tight. Take hold of the top of the bag where you've twisted it, and then I need a length of PVA tape. Now this is just standard cygnet PVA tape. Grip a length of about 3 or 4 inches in my fingers, and then I'm going to wrap it around the bag 3 times. So I just go once, twice, 3 times, nice and tight. That's going to hold the twist together to stop it coming undone. Then simple overhand knot, or granny knot we always used to know them as. Pull that down. Another one again. 2's normally enough, but it's always good. Add a 3rd one for good luck. And once you've done that, you simply trim off the tag ends. Okay, so my bag is starting to take shape now. Now, where my lead core is coming out the top of the bag is all this excess. If you pull your lead core to one side and snip down the bag, being very careful not to get anywhere near the lead core, pull the lead core back through that cut, and then you can trim off the top, keeping it nice and neat, making sure there's no excess knocking about. Once I've done that, a nice tap on the bottom of the bag just firms it up. One in the corner, just to knock it down. I'm going to get hold of the corner, give it a really good pull so it stretches it nice and tight. Little lick, stick it down. Then do exactly the same with the other corner. Nice and tight. Little bit of a lick. Put it down, and there we can see I've got a really nice, tidy, little solid bag ready to cast straight back out for another fish to pick up. So there we go, there's the bag mounted in the water, and as you can see, it's absolutely perfect for a bite. Lovely little pile of attraction. PB wafter's stood up perfectly. You can't see the lead, and all you've got is a little bit of lead core trailing away that blends in perfectly with the dead weed on the lake. So there we go, I finally got to sit down and show you how to tie the PVA bags that I'm using here. There's lots of different variations of tying a solid bag. People have lots of different ideas, but that is a nice, simple, easy one to tie, and obviously it works at places like Norton Disney. Now, I'll talk you quickly through what I've done with my rods through the session. So at the moment, I've got them all on solid bags. The first rod that went off this morning was a spot that was 11 wraps straight out in front of me. And that went off, it was 6:30 that went off, so that was my first bite. Then the next bites came from the margins. So the left-hand rod was down the margins. I've had two bites from that now, landed one and lost one. So you know, I'm thinking maybe the fish moved from the out further in the lake, moved up to the margins. It's an area where the sun hits first in the morning. Now the sun's moved back round and we're getting into the afternoon. The sun's further over there and this rod has gone quiet. So what I've done is I've just put a little bit of bait over the rods that I had my first bite on this morning. So I've just done a simple mix. There's some of the low oil fishery pellet, because this is obviously pellet that these fish see quite a lot through the winter months. Some sweet corn, which you can never go wrong with. Plus the nice thing about sweet corn is the fish digest it very easily and very quickly. So in the winter when the stomachs are shrunk, it's able to go through the fish a lot quicker. And that's it. What will happen is those pellets go in the mix with the juice that you get out of the cans of corn. The pellets will absorb that juice and take it down to the bottom, creating a nice attraction that can draw the carp in. Then I'm just going to put a couple of solid bags over the top and hopefully they'll tank off a little bit later. But for now, Gaz has been very busy all morning, filming bits of this, filming bits of that. So it's about time I got the kettle on and made him brew. There you go, little liner. No, I think I'm on there, Gaz. Yeah, we're on. There we go, another bite on the solid bag. It's that one I've just tied. I've just put it out to my left, down the margin, same place I've had bites from already. It's only been in the water probably about half an hour now, 40 minutes, and it's tanked off. I've just got to be very careful because this has gone underneath that other line, or has it gone over the top? I think it might have gone over the top. That's handy. It's always good if a fish crosses your other line, just to pay attention to where the line is, so you know if it's caught onto it. Because if the line moves, talked about this in other videos before, you know that that fish has caught the line or gone underneath it, like it just has. So now I can pass that underneath. There we go. It shouldn't have got involved. It's actually going back again now. There we go. We should make its mind up. Underneath it goes again. Just let go, or has it still got it? I think it's got that round a couple of times now. That's annoying. So let's see if we can just unnip these. Where are we? Oh. Oh, now we're stuck in the end. Let's have a look where that is. That's hard work, that is. Can't see with the light. I think still snarled up. Always fun. Let's see if we can get this one round it. It's like that way. Yeah, he's caught right up in that line now. It's always a pain. No, that's right, I think it might go like that. And I think we're free of that line now. Yeah, free of that line, so I'll bring that rod down, grab the landing net. Phone's ringing, professional as ever. Phone should always be on silent. Yeah, knitting's always fun. Thing is not to panic and just take your time. Rods can always be recast. When you get it caught up in it, it's very difficult sometimes when it gets really, because you're dragging in the other lead, and then not only that, you can end up losing all sorts of amounts of line off your rod. Another nice little mirror. Looks very similar to the ones we've had already. I'm going to step in this water a little bit as far as my boots allow me. There we go. Another nice little mirror. There he is. I think he's about done. Let's see if we can get this net to him. Come on, turn. Turn. There we go. He's turned. Get some air in him. I'd have said he was done. Come on. Oh, bit of a stretch in the net. Come on, fish fans. Look at that, fish fans. I think this fish actually has a little bit of ghosty in it. Look at it. Not very many scales, and another one that has fallen to a very simple solid bag. Now, if a solid bag isn't something you're very confident in tying, or if you have any questions about it, just drop it in the comments box and I'll reply, or potentially we'll maybe do a video to answer your questions. But for now, I'm going to slip this one back, and hopefully there's plenty more where she came from. Go on, puppy. Hee. Go on, off you go.
Yeah. Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Load it.
Yeah. What?
So, we're just getting into night time, and the solid bag's rattled off again, and this time it's got a little bit bigger. We decided to put the scales on this one just to have a little look, just to get an idea of how big the other fish were. We knew they were like low to mid doubles, but this one looked a little bit bigger, and this one's gone 18.5, so they're definitely creeping up there. Again, taken on the same solid bag that I showed you earlier, cast down the margin, and yeah, it was away. It has took a little bit longer to get a bite this time, but maybe the fish just shied away from a little bit of casting. But one thing's for sure, I am freezing. It has proper dropped the temperature. There is a forecast for a little bit of sleet tomorrow morning. So I'm going to get this fish back quickly before my hands die and get some grub on for me and Gaz so we can warm up. But for now, thank you very much for visiting. Well, after that last fish last night at just dusk, the rods haven't made a beep, apart from some torrential rain that we had all night that woke me up in the middle of the night. We're sat here now. We've had to pack up a little bit early because these swims are now reserved for a team of 4 that are coming round to have a fish. So we've just left the rods out, packed everything up, waiting for those guys to turn up. When those guys turn up, we're going to reel the rods in. Hopefully we'll get another fish, but you never know. We are about bite time, that we got a bite yesterday, so obviously we're hoping for that early morning bite. Fingers crossed. I just want to take this minute to thank everyone for watching the Cold Water Carping series, but also to reflect a little bit on what I've picked up from the last 3 series, the 3 parts that we've done. You know, some of the things in winter fishing that I've learned are things like, you know, don't go with a preconceived idea of how I'm going to fish. So, you know, I'm turning up to venues and, you know, don't go in thinking, oh, I'm going to smash it up and things like that. Just go there with an open mind about how you're going to fish it. All 3 venues that we fished for this winter series, I had never fished at Earlswood before. At the boathouse, I'd done 1 session, and I've never fished at Norton Disney before, so I've had to be open-minded. And at all 3 venues, different tactics have worked. If you look back at Earlsdon, we fished with snowman rigs over chop boilie and bits and bobs like that. Then when we went to the boathouse fishery, you know, we turned up and we caught on chod's tip with maggots, and then here we've caught on solid bags. But one thing I've picked up is that on each session I've done a baited area. Now the baited area worked on the Earlsdon Lake. Did it work because it was a little bit earlier late in, like it was end November, so it was still early part of the winter. You know, then we moved on to the boathouse. My baited area didn't do a bite. All our bites came from single choddies tipped with maggots. And then we're here at Norton Disney and I've done a baited spot and the baited spot hasn't done a fish. So you know, they're things I've picked up, but definitely go in with an open mind. There is no single winter tactic that works everywhere, because we could have cast troddies out here and they probably wouldn't have worked. That little small parcel of bait is what's worked. You know, we could have gone to Earlston, put troddies out. It's a very clear lake, so they would have been stood out like a sore thumb. So one thing I just wanted to get you guys to think about, like I think about, is what have I learned from the last 3 parts? And I've learned a lot that I'm going to take into my winter fishing next year. Some of the things I've covered, you know, looking at the tipping of the maggots on chods, it's not something I've really done before, but definitely that little bit of movement I think got me and Gaz both bites. And on here, being really organised with the solid bags, because when I caught a fish and recast, it was like 20 minutes later, half an hour later, I'd got another bite. So being organised for that chance of a few more fish is definitely something I'm taking away. But thanks ever so much for watching all these series, and I hope you've enjoyed them. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because there's plenty more stuff coming from us guys at Team Trakker.